Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Media Matters for Anfield Index. Dear Christ, where do we even start on this one? At 8 to 9 minutes, you thought we were going to steal 3 points, but then in the hours or so that followed, it felt like Liverpool were on fire, literally. And this weekend, even this week coming, there is drama afoot. I mean, I'm joined as ever by the renowned and the respected David Lynch, who, let's be honest, David, this is going to be a hell of a week either way for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah, never a dull moment, kind of one of those kind of weeks, really, where you're thinking that this is, there's a lot going on and a lot of kind of not just around the games and the results, but obviously the off-field drama as well. And, again, you kind of come in, I always kind of think to you're coming into this season thinking what your expectations are around the season. I did not think we would be in crisis mode to this degree at this juncture, really. So it's pretty crazy. I mean, it's stuff to write and talk about, which we can't ever complain about, and it is all the drama and the kind of the madness of it is good, at least from that perspective. But yeah, I think for supporters and for everyone kind of concerned with the club, really, it's not really positive, is it?
No, there's nothing we can really label too positive, and it's the old saying, it might get worse before it gets better. I mean, I do actually, because this can get missed in the whole sort of dramas, as you said, going on at the moment. I do actually want to talk properly about the Leeds game, because it's almost like there was good, bad, and there was ugly. But almost at the end, it was kind of a, how the hell has it ended like that feeling, wasn't there?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I kind of think, if you're looking for positives, I think you can drag a couple out of there. In that, I think the first 70 minutes, what Arne Slot was trying to do very much worked, really, which was exactly what he kind of tried to do against West Ham and Sunderland, which were just to turn it into a kind of nothing game where not a lot happens. Liverpool are solid, they're comfortable, and you hope in those games, if you do that, and people call for him to go back to basics. I think he very much has done that in the recent games. He's just, right, let's make us hard to score against, and if we do that, we've got enough quality to get ourselves goals. And it kind of worked, didn't it? Because Liverpool, I didn't think Leeds could lay a glove on them in that first 70 minutes. Liverpool looked very, very comfortable. I think it had come at the expense of being any good going forward, by the way, and I think that's the real problem he's got, is that it's imbalanced in a completely different way, and Liverpool looking capable of scoring, because they kind of, the first goal's gifted to them completely, and then the second one is a counter press situation, which is absolutely a valid route to goals, but it's not something that you feel is kind of repeatable for this side, really. I don't think they're good enough in the press, for starters. So, and it's certainly not slicing Leeds open. But look, you get yourself to 2-0 up by hook or by crook. You're very, very solid. You're looking really, you're not looking great, but it's absolutely good enough at the moment. But the fact is, if you're going to play in this way, if you are going to play that kind of, negative kind of, closed down football, you have to get the results. You have to get the results, and you have to also not concede 3 times en route to drawing against 16th in the league. And they didn't do that. They didn't keep the clean sheet. They didn't get the end result of the reason that you play that sort of back to basics football. And they didn't get the result. They didn't get the clean sheet, as I say. And they overall, there's nothing to hang your hat on them when you come out of it, because you didn't get, okay, if the performance was awful, but you get the result and you're just trying to grind your way through, you go, right, it's something to build on. They didn't get that. So it comes out, feels awful, really, in the end, particularly when, of course, you concede a 96-minute equaliser.
Yeah, it's like you say, conceding 3 to 16th in the table Leeds, who didn't really create too much of their own individual effort, shall we say, in that regard. Although, as you said, we were kind of gifted to, but you take your fortune there. I mean, always try and be balanced on this show. I am struggling to see right now, again, because we're talking set pieces, aren't we? And we're talking a weakness there. I'm generally saying this, as much as we're talking other people and their roles, the fingers must be like, the spotlight must be on Aaron Briggs in set pieces now again. So much after that late equaliser.
It has to be, because I've said it previously on this podcast about the manager keeps bringing it up. He keeps talking about it because he's obviously thinking, get onto this guy. Look what's going on here. I've got no control over that. And it's influencing games. I actually said in my post-match, that, you know what, you can kind of strip out how bad Liverpool are, and they really are not very good at the moment.
Okay.
I'm enjoying watching them, and I don't think they're a good side on either side of the ball, really. But I actually think if they were Arsenal good at set pieces, they would genuinely be up there with them in terms of the points that they would have gained this season and points that they wouldn't have lost. Because the swing between the two in terms of set pieces is so vast. And I actually think it's a league where not a lot of, who is really actually playing well and playing slick football at the moment, pretty much no one. So, set pieces are really decisive in this moment, and Liverpool are so... they're so bad at set pieces in a league that, they've got the worst defensive record and the second worst attacking record. And you add those together and it's going to have a huge influence on the outcome of games, because you look at the Leeds game, you win that 3-2 with an awful performance largely, but you win it 3-2. You look back to so many of the games where they've conceded set piece goals. You don't, you get a point away at Crystal Palace, which is absolutely fine. You can, I can't list them all off the top of my head now, but there's so many games when you've conceded 10 set piece goals throughout the season in the Premier League. So they've got to be better at it in that. And like I said, the manager's got to be looking at this guy who is solely responsible for this. He spends his entire working week thinking about them and thinking, you are giving me absolutely nothing at the moment. And you don't like to kind of single out individuals in that way, but it's so stark. We would be foolish not to talk about it, really. So, yet again, a costly moment from a set piece. And that is not to say things are all hunky-dory and open play, because they're far, far from it. But it's the decisive moment in the game, in the sense that, it's the difference between, it's the 96th minute. It's the difference between 3 points and 1 point. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure Slot will be absolutely livid about that. And I think rightly so. And I think it is fair for us to talk about it and kind of, point the finger a little bit.
You can't not talk about it. When Arne Slot is mentioned in set pieces, when all the coverage tells you that it's a league of set pieces this year, and we are the worst or one of the worst at them in both ends, and we're conceding last-minute goals, it has to be on the radar. We'll see if anything develops with that one. I'm trying to be a bit of balance on this, because obviously everything is on fire a little bit at the moment, but there were some positives as well. I mean, Hugo Ekitike talked afterwards, because he scores a double, out a tough game, and we shouldn't have conceded. He was absolutely spot on. And they do say you make your luck, and that fair enough that Joe Rodon probably plays our best pass of the game for the first one, but finishes it well. And I actually think with the second, it actually is going out till the keeper palms it onto Ekitike and it rebounds in. But you make your own luck, as you say. It's good to see at least we've got a striker who's scoring goals, or a new signing making an impact at least.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. You're lucky with the way that the first one comes about, but I mean, it still takes some finishing in a one-on-one situation, and very, very calm in the way he puts that away. So really, really like that one. And he bought a ticket for the raffle with the second, and again, like you say, you earn your own kind of good fortune in those situations. So he gets stuck in and gets there, and it's a great cross as well. I think a really good ball into a dangerous area. So lot to like about that goal as well. So they don't both feel massively repeatable for this side, if I'm being honest. But it in terms of what it means for Ekitike, I think it shows you. Look, that was his first goal since October, I think, since the Frankfurt game. So, but I don't think that's because he's been massively poor. I think he's flitted in and out of games a little bit, but I just think there's been a lack of chances for him. I think there's been a lack of chances for the forwards, generally speaking, at times. The ability to create for the centre forward has been a bit of an issue in this team. So, look, when he gets the opportunities, he will put them away. And I think he's Liverpool's top scorer this season. And if we are looking for positives, he is massively one of them, because, I don't think you can look at him and say he's been a bad signing at all. I think he's been very good on the whole. So, good to see him get his goals. And, he deserved them for his all-round play as well. I thought he played some really nice kind of link-up play and stuff like that. So, I think he's been very, very good since he's come in.
Very good to come in. 2 goals on the weekend. Yeah, absolutely deserves a place in the team at the moment. And even with that being said, it's probably this man, isn't it? Dominic Szoboszlai. I think he got man of the match as well. Scores the third. But again, as the stats show, just all round. I mean, I could see him. There was that Sky footage on the pitch. He was fuming afterwards. You could see, wasn't he? And there was a few teammates getting around him. But if anyone has the right at this moment to point fingers in that dressing room and look at everyone else, it is Dominic Szoboszlai, isn't it?
Yeah, he's just untouchable in terms of the quality of the performances he's given, but also the work rate and just how much he's trying to drag this manager out of this situation and drag this team out of this situation. You just could not level any criticism at him at all. It's almost kind of captain material, really, with the way he's playing at the moment, really leading from the front. And yeah, he looks good in kind of all aspects of his play at the moment. And another great finish, good goal. Really, really good performance, tireless performance, and he deserves a lot more than he's getting from what's around him at the moment, really, because I feel like he's being let down. But he's really is putting it in at the moment. I think he's really emerged as a kind of a big leader in this team as well.
Yeah, they do need to get that contract nailed down, which might be a bit more difficult with everything that's going on, but that's one for another time. And
just to address a comment there as well, by the way, the second goal comes through and giving the ball away, and that is true. But you've also got to say, you look at the situation when they give the ball away there, how that ends in a goal. Midfielders and forwards, they are going to give the ball away. Sometimes you're not going to have 100% possession, and they're going to be sloppy at times. It's going to happen. But your structure and the way that others react to that happening has got to be better. I think it'd be, very, very harsh to kind of level it at Dom Szoboszlai that goal is, late at his door, really, because it is so far away from goal when he loses the ball. And, there's about 6 things go wrong from that point onwards, really. And, I think it'd be unfair to say it was a problem with him, really.
I think if you're going to lay the second goal that way, you're going to have to start putting serious fingers then at Konate, Gravenberch, and maybe a little bit of Curtis Jones. Yeah, you're not putting that on Dominic Szoboszlai. Although I mentioned one of them there, I do actually think Liverpool looked more solid with Curtis Jones and his legs in there. As it said, 100% of his tackles won, 100% of his dribbles. I mean, he was unlucky with the shot that hit the crossbar, but what he probably had over Alexis Mac Allister more than anything, his legs, and it's that elite ball retention as well. It's not trying to dig out Alexis Mac Allister, but it did look better with Curtis Jones in there.
Yeah, I just think he's having a better season by quite a long way, to be honest. Mac Allister's just been too up and down, mostly down, if we're being honest. I'm a massive Mac Allister fan, by the way, but he just isn't playing well at the moment, and he pretty much hasn't been for the entirety of the season. I think, on the flip side, Curtis Jones has been. Whenever he's kind of come in, I thought he's done the basics, which we always talk about. He wins his duels and he keeps the ball. And in games like this, that's massively important. And the result didn't go the way Liverpool wanted. The performance in general wasn't fantastic, but I do think Curtis Jones did an awful lot of good things. And as you say, nearly got a goal as well. But yeah, winning duels and keeping the ball, which is what Liverpool need at the moment. So I think it's a really strong case to kind of keep him in ahead of Alexis Mac Allister, because he's getting around the pitch better. He's doing better with the ball. He's doing better off the ball. So why not keep him in, really? And the manager's got kind of 3 or 4 players who you could look at and say are actually in form at the moment. I think Jones is one of them. So you've got to keep him in the team because the team's not playing very well at all.
That's true. It is like not even a handful of players, and he is one of them. So you've got to give him his dues there. I mean, we have to balance this. It's not just this moment. I get a bit tired of people saying this is the moment that cost us, because there's so much that happened there. But Konate, that penalty, it wasn't the only one in the game, but it's just brain dead what he's doing there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, people are kind of right, and it swings the game, doesn't it, completely. I think Liverpool see that out, no problem if that doesn't happen. But let's have it right. We wouldn't have been saying it was a good performance or like, oh wow, they were absolutely sold now until Konate does that and changes things. We've got to say that Liverpool still, they were playing okay at best, really, up to that point. But we can level a lot at Konate, and I think he's been terrible this season, to be frank. But yeah, I don't think that's it's a decisive moment in the game in one sense, but it's not like Liverpool were absolutely flying up to then and he completely wrecked it single-handedly. That said, so silly, really. I mean, I said at the start of the season, it was so easy to say, look, Konate, class is permanent. He's just going through a little dip. Things aren't going right for him. Just stick with him. We know how good he can be from last season and pretty much all of his seasons at Liverpool, to be honest. He's been, I think, on the whole, very, very good for Liverpool. But I can't stick with that line because the evidence is now mounting because he's making a mistake every single week. And it's really a costly one because of where he plays on the pitch. And there's just no need to do what he did. I don't know if it's his head's chocker because of how the team's playing, the pressure that's on the situation. It's just crazy, really. And yeah, it's just a penalty and a really silly decision from a player who should know better, but has not seemed to know better for the entirety of this season. It's really hard to understand what's going on with him because, look, people were wrong about he's going to Real Madrid. His head's already in Madrid. They don't want him. So his head's not already in Madrid. We know that for a fact now. So that was all nonsense. But whatever's going on, he is not playing well at the moment, and he is making errors that are seriously costing Liverpool at the moment. So I think, his place, now that Joe Gomez is fit and available, has got to be under pressure, surely. Because, if Slot wants to save his job, if he wants to salvage this season, you can't have a guy at the back who's giving away goals and giving away penalties, giving away, horrendous mistakes in pretty much every game at the moment. And, I've been a big defender of Konate, as I say, but it's just becoming impossible to make the claim that, class is permanent and this is just a little bump. It's so prolonged now, these issues that he's been having, that he just needs to be pulled out of the team for a while.
Yeah, you can't really argue anything different. And in terms of the way I said it, like brain dead, making errors, I mean, Konaté's been terrible, but in this one, you saw it again. I mean, Conor Bradley knows he's one yellow away from this Brighton suspension. It's a brain dead decision, the challenge he makes. Like, even as we said, for the second goal, there's just errors galore. And their equaliser, Konate ducks under it. What is Ryan Gravenberch doing as he kind of spins around where he's just got to head it away as well? It's like, it just seems, I don't know whether it is the head and everything, but you almost expect multiple errors from multiple players now every game.
Yeah, exactly. I think heads have just kind of gone with what's going on. Everybody's kind of extra riled up. I mean, you're trying to think why would Conor Bradley do that? Why would he get that yellow in that situation where it wasn't a dangerous situation at all where he needed to take the yellow? It's but whether it's a bit of kind of we talk about showing commitment and getting stuck in a little bit. We've maybe lacked that because the press hasn't been right. Well, maybe it's kind of, I've got to show that I'm trying here and I'm trying to get back. And then you do that and you give a silly foul away, you get a yellow card that then, as you say, kind of ensures that you're left out. So, it's I just think that the heads have kind of gone at them. And they're just having real problems with kind of coping with the pressure that they're under and making silly decisions. That's the only explanation you can think of in terms of what they're producing at the moment. And Konate is probably the prime example of that, but there were a few others as well.
Yeah, it's just, honestly, it's head scratching. And speaking of head scratching, this was a little bit for me for this one. So many balls went to Cody Gakpo, or so many promising attacking situations with Cody Gakpo. And they broke down, did the wrong thing again and again. He's trying to balance things because, like you said, there's only a few that are playing well at the moment. You've got to balance that. But when so much ball goes to Cody Gakpo and that's what he produces, you can understand why people are asking questions.
Yeah, 100%. Again, I think one way you had to kind of, when they put together this squad at the start of the season, you kind of sit there and I think you've got to give it time and see, okay, what was the plan? How is it going to emerge? What's it going to look like when we get to the mid part of the season? I'm sure they've got an idea for that. Let's see it play out and see how it works. And, one thing you're worried about was that it was just going to result in Cody Gakpo playing 90% of the minutes. And here we are in December, and that is exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
And he's not good enough to do that, in my opinion. I think he was very, very good. He's a great option. He's a really good player. He's really poor at the moment, but let's not forget he's a very, very good option and a good player. He can play better than this. We've seen it so many times, and I think he was crucial to that title win last season. But you have to have an option when he's stinking the place out to come in instead. And that was Luis Diaz last season. They could balance that out. It was great. But he's not, he's in that moment now where he's playing poorly, and you're looking at the bench and you're going, well, it's Rio, and we don't want to throw him in because he's only just turned 17, and we're putting, we want to leave a pathway, but we're maybe putting too much pressure on him to throw him in these situations. So you've then just got a guy who you're basically kind of carrying at the moment because he really isn't playing well. And that, it's kind of, it feels like Gakpo has to be the one nailed on starter in that attacking lineup. And how have you got yourself in that situation where, what kind of does that say about the squad building where, you had to kind of, either Rio had to be further along than we maybe expected. And that was what was kind of waiting to see really in terms of how much he would be used. And I wonder whether, he probably would have got more games if things had been going slightly better. So it's kind of kiboshed it a little bit for them. But how are we at this point where, someone's saying Chiesa there? I mean, it's a great point. How is he not an option on the left-hand side as a sub on the left? Or, he only ever seems to come on in centre forward or maybe occasionally on the right-hand side. Ekitike, again, I kind of thought, well, maybe they think they're going to use him out the left-hand side. To be honest, I was a bit cynical about that because he's very rarely played there in his career, to be honest. So it felt like it would be a surprise. But I thought at least he would have some plan, which wasn't just Cody Gakpo has to be on the pitch because he's effectively your only left winger. I really did think they would have a better plan than this. But here we are, as I say, we're in December, and it's just Cody Gakpo or nothing, which means that when he's playing poorly, it's Cody Gakpo or nothing. So he's really in bad form at the moment. And I don't want to go over the top because I really do think there's a great player in there, and we've seen it time and time again. But it was so helpful to have a rotational option for him last season. And Liverpool basically at the moment, with the way the manager's using the squad, do not have one at all because he doesn't want to use Rio, doesn't want to use Chiesa, doesn't want to use Ekitike there either. What a disaster of squad building, really. And I think the sporting director should take a little bit of responsibility for that, but also the manager for not saying, I really need someone who can play across the front line, who's not Chiesa, who I actually want to use, and be more pushy about that because, this is not a good situation in the slightest, is it?
It really isn't. It's just absolutely bizarre what we are seeing at the moment.